This is how to properly dust a room. For starters, when we get our duster, we don't want to just use this because, you know, using it every single day, it's going to be super dirty. It's going to cost a lot of money to constantly be replacing these. So instead, what we do is we have these covers that we wrap over, and all you do is you place this at the center of the paper. You fold the two opposite corners together and tie them off. You don't want to go super tight. You don't want to go too loose. So you want it to stay on there. And then you take the other two corners and you also tie them off together. So it's on there. It has some flexibility. It's not too firm. And all you're going to do is you're going to look for your spots to dust. We have high, medium, and low. So of course you want to start at the highest point first, because if you start down here at the baseboard of a chair, and then I start dusting the ceiling fan, well, all that dust is just going to rain back down on all my work that I've already done. So for starters, I'm going to look at my high areas. There's up here, there's on the clock. I might want to hold the clock as I dust on that. I'll start in the far corner and then wipe across. A lot of times what we'll notice is a cleaner will, you know, they'll say, oh, I've been dusting, but then you look up here and there's a big corner of dust that's just been sitting up there. So make sure you get all the way in the corner. Another spot too, which of course these are extendable, is you can reach up in the corner up there for cobwebs and whatnot. Another high spot would be a windowsill. I want to make sure to get behind there as well as up on top of this. There's also a few other spots in here, as well as the vent. You just kind of push it up in there as best as possible and work your way around. And of course, keep going. Now, the next step is we would go down to the medium level. So this is like your desktops, your arms of the chair, maybe on a shelving unit like this. And this is usually much cleaner naturally, just because it's easier for cleaners to see the dust up here. Now, personal property, you don't want to be moving. So when I come into an office like this and I see desks, I don't want to be picking up something like that. If I see, you know, markers and expo markers and eraser spray, that's okay. Nobody's going to complain about that, but you don't want to be touching people's personal papers or pictures. So I would just work around it. So I'd just start on the keyboard, up on the laptop. Whoops. And I would just work my way around everything, just basically being careful of people's personal property. Now, obviously I could sit through here and do that, but I'm going to continue teaching as we move on. I see some marks on here, so I'm just going to give this a little spray before getting this completely wet, and just wipe these marks off with a microfiber towel. And usually that will actually pull out most of the dust in that particular location. But after it dries for a while, I can always come back and just hit it again real quick. Now, remember that if this is done weekly at your building, depending on the schedule that your supervisor sets for you, just because you walk into a place and maybe after a week it doesn't look, you may not see dust, there is dust that's been accumulating there, and it's important that we keep on a maintaining schedule. That way it doesn't build up into something where the customer starts to notice it after 2 weeks and then they're complaining. We want to keep the entire environment constantly clean, constantly looking fresh. Lastly, we move on to our lower surfaces. We'd hit the base of the chairs. We might hit any handles. This chair doesn't have any handles, I don't see, but you would hit the handles if those were getting dusty. And that is how to properly dust a room.